Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k big FAQ video. So today we'll be going through part 2 of the big FAQ, which is going to cover the official update version 1.2 of the Codex Astra Militarum and the official update version 1.3 of the Warhammer 40,000 rulebook. So yesterday I covered the actual big FAQ itself, and all that information is here. And also there is an actual big FAQ document itself. But what we're going to go through today is we're going to go through the actual rulebook and Codex Astra Militarum changes. So this should be a little shorter than the last video, but there are some important changes here. Obviously there's been a few things that have changed, that especially in the Astra Militarum section, which have hurt guard a little bit, but weirdly I'm okay with it. So let's just go on. So basically, if you get this document, which you can just go on Warhammer community FAQs 140,000, boom, it's right there. Basically everything that's in pink has been changed. You can see we've not had too many changes really. So we'll start off on the left, page 94, Militarum Tempestus Scions War Gear Options. Change the first bullet point to read: one Tempestus Scion may either replace its hotshot lasgun with a hotshot las pistol and a voxcaster, or take a hotshot las pistol and voxcaster in addition to the hotshot lasgun. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. It now actually means that you have the option to have a rifle and a pistol on one of your guys, which is really nice. It is only for the voxcaster, so okay, whatever. But that is pretty cool. I think that basically brings it in line with, if you look at the command squad, and they can take the medipack. I think essentially this was always the case for Tempestus command squads, and now they've brought it in for regular Tempestus units. But yeah, look, I mean, some of you might be saying, yeah, that's great, I get to take a pistol and a lasgun. You know, some of you will be thinking, I just get to take, the lasgun. No, that's not true. You've got to read this carefully. You can either take hotshot las pistol and voxcaster, or you can take hotshot las pistol, hotshot lasgun, and a voxcaster. Now, the reason that's an important distinction is you still have to pay for that hotshot las pistol. Now, it's only 1 point, but you do have to pay for it. So that's something to be aware of, okay? Don't be thinking that your Tempesta guy is like, what, 15 points? If you want to have that las rifle, he's going to be 16 points. So there you go. So just take note. You're basically, you've got to pay 2 points for his weapons and 5 points for his voxcaster. Next one, I think this is one that we all sort of saw coming, but it's still a bit of a kick in the teeth. Page 102, page 103, Ogryn Bodyguard Slab Shield, bullgryn Slab Shield. Basically, it's the same thing. Add 2 to the armor save throws this model with a Slab Shield. Invulnerable saving throws are not affected. Basically, guys, no more getting a 2-up, like, invulnerable on your Ogryn Bodyguard. Because what people used to do is they used to take the Death Mask of Olinus Pius, and that gave him a 4+ invuln, and then you would take a Slab Shield, which gave you +2 to your saves, and so you got a 2-up invulnerable save. That's gone now, guys. You can either have a 2-up save, armor save, or you can have a 4+ invuln on your Ogryns. Now, there is still a way for you to get a 2-up invuln on your Ogryns, and that is with the take cover strategy, which gives you +1 to your save, and with your take cover strategy gives you +1 to your save, and with psychic barrier, which gives you +1 to your save as well. So you still can get a 2+ invulnerable. So that's just something to be aware of. But it's a little harder now. I don't want to, actually, before I move on, I just want to say it should never really have been a thing, but yes, it's a little disappointing. Yes, it is a nerf, guys. It is a nerf. And I do understand that the Ogryn bodyguard with Slab Shield and Olympus Pious Mask was really, really popular. But it's a difficult one because I used it rarely. I thought it was good, but I didn't get comfy using it because I had a feeling they were going to change this. I had a few whisperings in the warp. You know how I have my contacts, which sounds very good, but basically I know a few people that know a few people that know a few people. And I heard whisperings in the warp, which was like, don't get too attached to your 2+ invulnerable save Ogryn bodyguards. They didn't have anything else more concrete than that to tell me. So that's why you may have. That's why I never really did a video on it. It is what it is. It is a nerf, but I think most people who are using Ogryns, who are using bullgryns with slab shields, most of them were just using the 2+ armor save one anyway. I don't think anyone was trying to jimmy jammy it too much. The reason why it was important is you could get the reason why it's important. So I should say that this bullgryn slab shield change has been notified here is because you used to be able to get the Custodes guy with the Vexilla Protectorus, whatever it was, the one that gives you 5+ invuln, and then your bullgryn shield would give you, your slab shield would give you 2 to that, so you have a 3+ invuln, then you could use Psychic Barrier or take cover, and you could have a 1+, 2+ invulnerable save. So that's gone now. You still can get a 2+ invuln on your Ogryns, you just now have to take some of the power bucklers. That's basically it. It's a nerf, but I don't think anyone could really, Games Workshop have been really clear about not having 2+ invuln saves. So yeah, 1 or 2 snuck through, but they're doing their best to mitigate that. No, I mean realistically, just last thing to say before we move on. Realistically, if you're facing a decent, well-balanced army, you're probably only ever going to get that 3+ invuln save on your Ogryns, because you can use stratagem to get the +1 to your save, but someone could just deny Psychic Barrier. Someone could just deny it, and then realistically at most you'll get a 3+ invuln save on your Ogryns, which is fine because that kind of puts them in line with Terminator with Storm Shields. I think Games Workshop, what they're really aiming for here is you can get a 2+ armor save and that's fine, but realistically the best invuln you're going to be able to get in most armies is going to be a 4+, and if you get, and some armies will have access to a 3+, like Space Marines with Storm Shields. Well, they want the Storm Shield to be important again. There are some armies like Dark Eldritch with 2+ invuln save with the Shadow Field, but that goes poof. That disappears if you fail one of your saves, and it's worded quite fairly in the rules that you have to roll 1 at a time. Before so if you fail on the first one, that's it. You can't use any rerolls of any kind on it. So there are some 2+ invulns out there. There are some 3+ invulns out there. But I think Games Workshop are really just trying to be like, look, you're getting a 4+ invuln or you're getting a 2+ armor save. And interestingly, guys, that's kind of how they had, from my limited experience, that's kind of what they were doing in 8th edition Fantasy before they scrapped it and had Age of Sigmar. In 8th edition Fantasy, getting a 4+ invuln save, you had to pay you had to pay like 60 points to get a 4+ invuln save. Like, they were called ward saves back then. So that's kind of where games were, but they were really, really valuable because you could use them against anything. And like in 8th edition 40k, in 8th edition Fantasy, you had armor modifiers. So that's why these invulnerable saves are so important. So I think that's what Games Workshop's going for now, where you really will be paying a premium. You've really got to put some funky combos together for you to get that 3+, 3+ invuln, and 4+ is pretty much the best you can hope for. Maybe not. So here's an interesting one. Page 134, jury rigging. Add the following sentence of this stratagem. You can only use stratagem once per turn. Was anyone using this more than once per turn? I don't really get it. I mean, it must have come up that someone somewhere was being a knob and using this like 20 times. I don't know. Um, I am perfectly willing to accept that this one puzzles me. For me, the ruling was always very clear. You get to heal a hull point, heal a wound in your turn. That's it. So, if someone could point out to me why this has been added in, that would be great, because this one is a little bit of a mystery to me. Here's an interesting one. So, page 135, take cover. Change the rule text of stratagem to read, use stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase. When your opponent selects one of your stratagem at a time, use the target. You add 1 to the armor save throws you make for the unit to the end of the phase. Okay, so they have made it now impossible to get a 2+ invuln save on your bullgryns. Okay. See, everything I was just saying, my point has just been proven. Literally. It's impossible. They don't want people to have 2+ invulns. They don't want it. That's the whole fucking point of armor save modifiers. They want armor save modifiers to be important. And what have people been saying online? Invulnerable saves have been too many people have access to too many invulnerable saves. Armor saves don't mean a shit. It's too easy to abuse invulnerable saves. It's too easy to get yourself up to a 3+, 2+ invuln. Well, now they've literally made it so the best you can possibly get is a 3+ invuln save on your bullgryns. Which, yes, that's a little bit of a nerf, but it's a nerf to a single unit. And again, it's a little annoying. I used to like, one that no one ever saw coming was you making Commissar Yarrick have a 3+ invulnerable save. That was always a lot of fun. People just did not expect that. Obviously, it was only a shooting, but it's still. You make him your warlord. You sort of bait the enemy to shoot their stuff at him, and suddenly you've got a 3+ invuln save. It's good. So that's it for the IG side of things, as far as I can see. So to summarise the last 12 minutes, Scions have been brought in line with Scion command squads. Ogryns and Ogryn bodyguards and bullgryns have been nerfed. The Ogryn bullgryn Death Star is on its knees right now. It's not completely dead. The best you can get now is a 3+ invuln save. You still get your 2+ armor save, so that's fine. I think that's how most people were playing it anyway. In all the time that all the tournaments I've played, I've only come across one bullgryn star, so there you go. And Jura rigging has got this interesting thing where you can use it once per turn. That's fine. So let's take a look at the rulebook one. This is probably the more important one. Summarising this, Guard got a little nerf, not too bad. It got a nerf which made sense. Obviously, slab shields are going to improve armour, blah, blah, blah. So, whilst we have taken a few nerfs here and there, it's generally, I see this as clarification, which I'm fine with. Weirdly. Right. Here's the big one. Let's just dive straight into it. Page 177, moving. Change the second paragraph to read, if the data sheet for a model says it can fly, then during the movement phase, it can move across models and terrains if they were not there. Okay, guys, this is a big one. This is a really fucking big one, okay? This just made our Imperial Guard screening twice as effective. Because screening was typically used to stop people from charging or getting to our valuable heavy hitters like Leman Russes. But the problem with units like Fly is they could literally just hop straight over your screens. Unless you had some really good screening set up, then they were going to be tagging your units. Well, you know what? Fuck you, flying models. Now you can only use it in the movement phase. This is a big deal, guys. I cannot overstate this. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I cannot overstate this. Our screens just got massively more effective. I've done a video previously about double screening tactics, 2 lines of screens. That just became even more important because the enemy in the movement phase will probably be able to jump over your first screen, but in the charge phase, they cannot charge you. If you have a screen in the way, they will not be able to charge your Leman Russes. This is huge. This is probably one of the biggest ones that people are going to be getting wrong for the next month until they catch on to what the FAQ has said. Okay, long story short, Fly no longer affects models in the charge phase. Okay? Now, second point. Choose unit to shoot with. Change the force sentence to read. Unless otherwise noted, each model in the unit attacks with all its ranged weapons it is armed with. If a model in the firing unit has any weapons that can only be used once per battle, you can choose when not to fire that weapon. Cool. That's fine. That makes sense. Basically, guys, this is the only thing that this affects is death strikes, which no one gives a shit about, and hunter killer missiles, which no one ever used. So that's fine. Basically, now you can fire your heavy bolter for days with your death strike and not have to worry about the main weapon unless you really want to, till you want to shoot it. Hunter killers, same again. But I tended to find whenever I took hunter killers anyway, I was shooting them first turn because if you don't want your unit to get degraded. So there you go. Choose ranged weapons. Change the last sentence of this first paragraph to read, in either case, at the same time that you choose targets for all shooting attacks, you must declare how you will split the shooting unit's shots, then resolve all the shots against one target before moving on to the next. Basically, guys, I think this affects things like rotate ion shields for Imperial Knights. So, if you read this again, at the same time, you must choose targets for the shooting unit's attacks. You must declare how you will split the unit shooting shots. So basically, guys, you have to go with this Lumen Rust, which is armed with battle cannon, las cannon, 2 heavy bolters. You can't say to your opponent, right, I'm going to put my battle cannon into your knight. Are you going to rotate ion shields? And if your opponent will be like, I don't know if he's going to put anything else in there. Or you could say, oh, I'm going to shoot that knight. Do you want to rotate iron shields? And your opponent might be like, oh, well, what's he going to shoot with? Yeah, sure, I'll rotate iron shields. And you go, okay, one heavy bolt is going to shoot that knight. And then everything else is going to shoot the other knight, which hasn't got rotated iron shields. I don't think you can do that anymore. You basically have to go, this unit is splitting its attacks as follows. Once I have now declared battle cannon, las cannon to the first knight, heavy bolters to the second knight. How do you wish to rotate iron shields? I think that's how it works now, guys. So no more jimmy jamming the system. You've got to declare what you're going to shoot, and then your opponent, once you've declared what that unit's going to do, your opponent can then make an informed decision on whether they want to use things like take cover, or they want to use things like rotate iron shields. So it's a little bit giveth, a little bit taketh. It makes take cover a little bit more valuable, but it makes things like rotate ion shields a little bit more valuable. So there you go. Choose targets. In either case, at the same time you choose targets for the unit's close combat attacks, you must declare how you'll split the unit's close combat attacks, then resolve all the attacks against one target before moving on to the next. Okay, fine. That's same thing, but for your close combat. Okay. Page 229 to 62. Witch Hunter, change the rules next to score 1 victory point if at least one of recycling units destroy the turn. Don't really care for that. That seems fine. FAQs, general questions. Can I ever skip a phase or part of a phase? For example, if my army contains no psychers, can I skip my psychic phase? No, you must play out all these phases in a turn and all parts of each phase. In the example you give, your opponent may have rules or stratagems that are used in your psychic phase, and so you can't skip it. Okay, that's fine. I always used to make a joke with my Black Templars where I'd go, okay, movement phase done, psychic phase, lol. But I'd always declare my psychic phase anyway, so that's fine for me. If your unit has a strength characteristic of dash, but I need to use that characteristic to resolve a rule, shooting web pistols or webbers, death grip stratagem, what should I use? If you don't have a strength, then you use toughness. Fine. Okay, here's a big one. If a rule allows me to reroll damage rolls of 1, and the damage characteristic for a weapon is D3, do I reroll the D6 rolls of 1 and 2, which I have to get the D3 result, or only the original D3 rolls of 1? In this case, you reroll the D3 result, so you can reroll 1s or 2s made on the D6. Okay, that's cool. I don't know if we have much in the guard that affects that, but it's nice to know. Now, basically, I believe that that'll probably become like a sort of universal thing where if you have rerolls of 1 and it's a D3, you reroll the 1s and 2. I think that's going to be relatively universal now, which is cool. We have some D3 weapons and stuff, so I don't know how much it affects guard, but it's cool that they've clarified that. It's nice, makes sense. For the purposes of the strategic discipline match play rules, our stratagems are identical names that appear in different codexes. Virtues of the Long War, which is in Codex Chaos Space Marines, Codex Death Guard, and Codex Scions considered the same stratagem. Yes. I mean, that's how I think everyone was playing. I think, again, only if you were being a real twat, if you were trying to be like, well, this is Veteran of the Long War from Codex Chaos Space Marines, so I'm going to use Veteran of the Long War 3 times because I've got Death Guard, Thousand Suns, and Chaos Space Marines. Yeah, don't be like that. I'm glad that they've clarified that. That shouldn't have needed clarifying. Whatever. If a unit with the minimum move characteristic is affected by an ability which changes its move characteristic, do I change both its minimum and maximum move characteristics? Yes. For example, an undamaged Hemlock Wraith Fighter has a move characteristic of 20 to 60. If it was affected by the Doombolt Psychic Power in the following move phase, its move characteristic would be 10 to 30. That is cool. That is cool. So it affects minimum and maximum move. Interesting. If I use a stratagem such as Automatic Scan or Forewarned to shoot with a unit as if it were the shooting phase, does the restriction on not being able to target an enemy character with wounds characters of 10 or less apply even though that stratagem is being used in the movement phase? Yes. Okay, this affects Tempestus Scions. Tempestus Scions have that stratagem where if someone deep strikes it next to you, you can have a go at blasting them. Okay, so that's cool. It's bad for us, but I guess it means if we're deep striking in our Tempesta Prime and someone tries to Auspex scan them, then they can't, as long as you have a unit that's closer, which is cool. Can you perform heroic intervention in the opponent's charge phase even to not declare any charge for that phase? Yes. I think that's how everyone was playing it anyway. Can you ever perform heroic intervention during your own turn? No. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I have been a bit cheeky and tried that a couple of times, but it's been clarified, so whatever. If a unit uses a rule that removes them from the battlefield and then sets them up again, such as teleport to home ability or the gate with 50 psychic power, does that unit count as having moved for the purpose of moving and firing heavy weapons? Yes. Okay, that's how I've always played it. And if you remember, I had that Death Watch versus Grey Knight battle report, and that's how I played it in that battle report when I was a gating infinity all over the place. So, fine. I'm not worried about that. When a unit has mounts that have a melee profile, for example Thunderbolt Cavalry, can that unit make any attacks they wish to with that mount's melee profile, or can they only make additional attacks noted in the weapon's profile abilities text? You can only make additional attacks. Okay, fine. I think that's to stop people. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but fine. Were people trying to get more Thunderhammer attacks by using the Wolves attacks, or vice versa? Okay. Can a unit with fortification battlefield role control an objective marker? Yes, so long as it's considered to be a friendly unit building. Note that this means that fortifications like the Feculent Gnarlmaws cannot control objective markers. Hooray! The annoying bullshit Nurgle trees have had a slight nerf, but it's actually probably really important. Hooray! Are Teleport to Homers or Infestation nodes friendly models? Can they control objective markers? No to both questions. Cool. Cool. That's good because I faced Death Watch, so screw you, Johnny. To be fair, he was never doing that anyway. I don't think many people were. We saw them as tokens, not really models. Organised events. The updated organised events guideline table restricts the number of times a particular data sheet can be included in your army. A few common questions have arisen from this. Some units like Carnifex and Leman Russes can be taken in 3 models. Leman Russ battle tanks contain up to 3 models each, but after they are set up on the battlefield, they become individual units. How many of these models can I include in my army? You can include 3 units, therefore you can include 9 models. Yes, fuck all of you guys that were saying guard were overpowered because we were the only people that could take 9 Basilisks. Fuck you. We can take 9 Basilisks. We can take 9 Leman Russes. Suck on my salty tears is all I can say. Because, you know what? Ugh. You guys want to kick guard when you're down, when you know what, we're not down. We've got a few little bits and bobs that still keep us good. God Damn it. I mean, we still would have found ways around it. You know, screw those guys. We still would have found ways around it. We could have had Conquerors, regular Leman Russes, Annihilators, Tank Commanders. We would have, one way or another, motherfucker, we're getting 9 tanks on the battlefield. Just accept it with a guard, okay? One way or another, 9 Leman Russes are hitting that battlefield in one form or another, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. Sorry, I got a little bit excited about that point. Do tactical drones that are taken as upgrades for certain Tower Empire units, e.g. crisis suits, stealth suits, count as units for the purposes of organised events guidelines, and so counts also the number of tactical drone units, i.e. fast attack units, I can include? No. Okay. I mean, that just means that Tau players can include more drones if they so wish. I mean, if it's an upgrade, it's an upgrade. It's not taking up a slot, so I'm okay with that. I mean, it's not good for me, and it's good for the Tau, but it makes sense to me, so I'm okay with it. Are the Demon Prince datasheets from Codex Chaos Space Marines, Codex Death Guard, and Codex Thousand Suns all considered different datasheets for the purposes of organised event guidelines? Yes. Okay, well, welcome to Demon Prince spam being the new meta-defining thing, because Demon Princes are fucking incredible. I've got a battle report coming up which features a lot of Demon Princes, and they are awesome. I love Demon Princes. I just thought they're just amazing. They're just amazing units. Now you're going to see 9 of them. Fine, whatever. If that's what I have to accept, I will do. But I think it's interesting how they said the different stratagems were, the Veterans of the Long War stratagem, for example, was one stratagem no matter how many codexes you have. But they're saying the different Demon Princes, you can take 3 regular ones, 3 Death Guard ones, and 3,000 someones. Interesting, but whatever. I am sure I've missed something. I'm sure there's a bit that talks about... I can't see it in this bit. I may have missed it, but there's one very important thing. So last bit, which we'll get to here. So last bit to cover is this big FAQ 2018, the lowdown. So first bit that's interesting is they now have released an official... sort of, this is when you will see the big FAQ 1, big FAQ 2. Every year we will get one in March, one in September. Okay, that is on paper. I have screen capped it. That's not going away. That's good. That means that gives us hope. I mean, Games Workshop had told us this is how it's going to be, but now they've backed that up. And they've also said whenever we release a codex, we'll release an errata shortly after. Okay, fine. I mean, I think we're still waiting for the Dark Elder one, but whatever. Okay, so that's good. We've got that in writing. At least we now know what to expect. It means that no matter how bullshit and overpowered something might be, like Talos spam, for example, we only ever have to wait 6 months before it should be fixed. Okay, fine. They talk a little bit more about how they don't want there to be too much soup armies. Well, there's still quite a lot of soup. You know, Custodes, Guards, Imperial Guard and Knights are still being souped to fuck. But, okay, whatever. Games Workshop, you can still do a little bit more with soup. They've already talked about the stratagems. This is the big one. Just having a look through. Yeah, we've covered all this stuff already, so that's fine. There is one big old thing that I've got a lot of people got all the knickers in a twist, but I'm okay with it. Less death from above. When looking at on tournaments, we notice that the way the fly keyword interacts with charges, resulting in some cases where assault marines and other flying units could stand above or below their foes and make 0-inch charges. Now, even if you can fly, you'll have to measure vertically like everyone else when getting stuck into close combat. Yeah. I mean, again, I think this is people just abusing it. I mean, I have used it once with my Black Templar Vanguard veterans when they were a tax unit. But whatever, I still abuse it slightly. Basically, guys, the reason this came about is because people would use the fly keyword to ignore levels. So they would boost in one turn, they would boost to the top, or they would deep strike down on top of a really tall building, like a 9 or 12 inch tall, like a massive column, and they would deep strike, or they'd boost on top of it. So your opponent couldn't see you to overwatch you, but technically, as you ignored levels, you could just drop down and get a 0-inch charge against, which was said, and you couldn't be overwatched. Now basically distance is distance. If you are 9 inches away from your opponent, no ands, ifs, or buts, you are going to have to make a 9-inch charge. No fucking around with it now. So, fair enough. Games Workshop. Fair enough. So there you go. That's basically it, guys. So that's kind of cool. It means, I guess that was kind of covered in the fly no longer affects you in the assault phase thing. But basically, you just have to... Let's have a look. It's okay, so assault means of flying units. Now, if you fly, you have to measure with everyone else. So I think you can still ignore... I think you can still jump to the top of levels and stuff. I'm not sure how it works. It's a bit unclear. But for the purposes of charges, definitely, if you're 9 inches away, it doesn't matter how, if you're on the top level, you're still 9 inches away. Okay. So that's it, really, guys. Lots to cover in this big FAQ. Fortunately, there wasn't anything that really just took a big steaming dump on the guard. So I'm okay with that. There were some bits that affected us, but I think it was stuff that people were realistically expecting. So there you go. Bullgryns are still fantastic units. Bullgryns are still amazing. So can't really complain too much. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think. Now, this is everything I've covered on the FAQ now. So if I've missed anything, put loads of comments down below. And if I have to do a follow-up video, so if I've missed, I will do. But it's also good because it means anyone that watches these videos and then reads the comments will have a full, complete idea of everything in the FAQ. And a good example of this is yesterday I got the command point farming thing slightly wrong, and that was clarified in the comments. So that's great. So thank you to whoever cleared that up for me. So there you go. That's what I've always said about these videos. It's about being a repository of knowledge for guard players. That's why I try and answer as many comments as possible. It's not always possible for me to answer all of them, but I try and answer as many as possible because I see the videos themselves as only half of the content that is produced on this channel. The other half is from you guys, and I've always said that this is a really, really, I'm so grateful for my loyal subscribers and commenters because you always add in so much useful information. It's absolutely fantastic. So thank you 100%, guys. And if you could just leave loads of comments as usual, that'd be great. Like, subscribe, fuck all that. I don't care. Do it if you want to. But, commenting is great for other people. Great for everyone else who visits this channel. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.